let's move on to something a little bit more fun and discover something new. So gather around, children. I'm going to tell you a nice story of the lost empire of Tartaria.
Reminds me of tartar sauce.
There's a good reason for that. And I'll explain it in a minute. So this is something that, as you can see, a bit of TikTok education has brought to us. So it is enlightening the Zoomer masses with the true history of the Empire of Tartar. So we're going to watch a few TikToks. Let's watch this one first. I haven't got any sound. So some Zoomers have found old maps and found the word Tartaria on the map. Now that is a word. For some reason, I actually now have to silent that to be able to show you. But so that is a word because it's the word that we used to use to describe the vast and uncharted reaches of Asia. The Tartars. So Tartars is a word that historically was just used to describe Turkic tribes. And there were all sorts of Turkic tribes that came out of the East Asian steppe and were a scourge on humanity for thousands of years, until gunpowder, actually, basically.
Is that the Khanate of Sibir? That time, mid-17s, there in Siberia.
Yeah.
And then okay.
But the thing is, none of this. So there are very few cities in this area, right? So what this is large bodies of tribes on horseback, all moving around these vast open grasslands and fighting with one another, and sometimes combining and invading the civilized world. And so this has been a story as old as time. You can go back to the Scythians, Attila the Hun, the Mongols through the Middle Ages, all the way down to the Ottomans, the Turks. This is where they all come from, and it's such a vast and historically uncharted area. It was just called Tartary in the sort of late Middle Ages. It was understood to be that's where very, very bad people came from. And the Zoomers don't understand this. And so what they have decided is that actually we're living in the ruins of a previous civilization. And Tartaria, because it's no longer on the maps now, this great empire was wiped out by some unexplained but very powerful forces. And for some reason, we are just living in the ruins of these. Let's watch this one. Get the sound on.
Civilization we have today, there was another civilization
Joe Rogan
from us. This civilization was far more advanced than us, but in a different way. They had harnessed the ability to use atmospheric energy. They incorporated it into all of their buildings and were able to create free energy for everyone at all times. They had also harnessed the power of frequencies and were able to build grand architecture by manipulating substances and moving huge rocks through vibration. Hence the Great Pyramids and many other unexplainable architectural anomalies that were created in the past. The free energy was a threat to the massive oil industry and all the profits they were able to generate from the scarcity of oil. So the owners of this industry, who were extremely powerful, created a plan to take out this civilization and wipe them from history so nobody would ever know about free energy.
Something Joe Rogan would speak about as well.
It is. They definitely chose the right guy. How many views is this one? Not that many views. But this is a genre of video on TikTok. It's Tartaria. I mean, one might ask, well, if there's free energy everywhere, how did the oil industry become powerful? Why would I need energy from oil if it's just freely being given to me out of the atmosphere, right? There are lots of unresolved questions that we will never get answers to.
To create interests.
Yeah, but how would this happen? Like, if I was like, look, Stelios, I realize that you can breathe, but I'm going to create an air manufacturing company.
Yeah.
And now I've become a powerful engineer. How would that happen?
Because you're not selling me oxygen now. No one does.
So anyway, the Tartarians are responsible for basically everything amazing, right?
Right.
Such as the Great Wall of China.
There is a theory that says the Great Wall of China wasn't actually built by China, but by the Tartaria Empire. This might sound crazy, but if you look at old maps and photos, you would see that the steep side of the Great Wall as well as the lookout post, are actually facing China.
There we go.
Normally this is done to prevent any invaders from climbing up, or picking off enemies with crossbows. So, is history covering up something? And, with all that said, is it possible that...
I got nothing.
I mean, that's obviously true. So everything magnificent was actually built by the Tartarians
Right.
about 200 years ago at best.
Вашите створения гонява вече в учебници.
We have
Yeah, and the Bulgarians.
Bulgarians.
Thing is, in a way, that's kind of true. So the sort of Turkic people who migrated to Europe in like the 8th century or something. So yeah, everything great was built by the Tartarians. They had like a giant empire, which included America actually, and for some reason, a couple of hundred years ago, they disappeared. And so the Rockefellers, I don't know, it's unclear. The oil barons, right?
Right.
They decided to destroy all the bells.
Yes, I've heard about these bells that they've been taken out of lots of different, even in England apparently.
Yeah.
Because their vibrations emit a healing.
Right. Yeah. No, you've got it. The Tartarian Empire.
Yeah.
Let's.
So it was them that just like was the archetype of this.
Apparently, for some reason, they just destroyed all the bells, and you're exactly right. It's obviously they have a healing frequency.
Right.
So you ring a bell, and it heals you in some spirit science way. And of course, you look and go, okay, that's obviously true. How did I not know that? Why isn't this in my history books? And this is the general thesis: is that
I've heard this before.
Yeah.
Certain frequencies. heal
yes.
you.
The frequency of grief.
Yes, the
396
grief wave.
hertz.
Yes, no, I know. I mean, this is from the account Tartarian Healer. Like I said, this is an entire genre on. This is an entire genre on TikTok of people who believe very sensible things, and they have like again, you can see the hashtag Tartaria, giant bells, Tartarian technology. This is sacred geometry as well, because we're going to throw together everything for this. 'Cause why not, right?
It's like a blend of Hinduism and lots of other bits and bobs.
It's basically the new version of spirit science.
Got you.
This one's particularly good, actually. So let us watch this. So as you can see, the water flows around.
Is this in India by any chance?
Nope,
No.
I don't think it is. Water flows one way and then the other way.
Really powerful ones. This is mimicking the Likovsky coil. It probably is the shape of our heart artery, which is why the electromagnetism comes from our heart chakra.
The chakras. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
Hinduism.
At the end of the day, I mean, you can't prove that wrong, can you?
Right.
So this is obviously true.
Mm.
I wish it didn't have an autoplay thing. There's going to be more chakra nonsense. But as you can see, the water flows around this thing and it flows the other way because it's literally a pipe that goes around.
Yes, yeah.
But
Water that flows.
exactly, you can't explain that.
No.
You can't explain things like this. Like, for example, like I said,
Sorry, there's this strange trend. It grates on me so much where people react and just go,
yeah.
and point.
But this
That's
guy,
it, nothing.
but this guy has a point, I think, in the fact that, as you can see on old churches, they've got the antenna for the free electricity, right? The universe provides.
This antenna at the top has a wire following it all the way down the building.
Right.
All the way down.
Oh, the Wi-Fi, presumably. No.
To
Because
throw it
this
into the
antenna
ground.
is harnessing the ether. The ether is the element that fills all space with infinite free energy. And all of the energy that this is producing is being grounded and sent straight into the ground. All of these
Right.
buildings from the 17th to 1800s have these antennas, spikes
This music.
on the top of them.
Yeah.
Because they are all doing the exact same thing. It was a complete different world. They've got rid of this technology because now they're capitalizing,
Why still there though?
making you a slave to work to pay the bills.
Yes. Okay.
Look, here's another one. Antenna being grounded again on another building. We need to wake up and realize that there's free energy.
Yes, these are lightning rods.
You need to wake up.
This is to prevent damage to the churches. But what I like is, he's like, yeah, 200 years ago, They have free energy. It's like there was lots of documentation of what England and the rest of the world was like 200 years ago. Right? This is actually not a giant secret. It's actually very well attested.
They're just powering the kettle out back.
Yeah, but no,
Free
200,
energy harnessed
Free energy
by the
for
man.
Yeah.
cups of teas after the service.
and then for some reason around the turn of the 20th century, the oil barons somehow took over, took away all of our free energy, and now we are living in the ruins of Tartaria. Right?
We're all Tatars now.
Well, kind of, yeah. I mean,
The
again,
new consensus.
these things, like, these people, I think, are onto something because they're looking at the world around us and being like, wow, this is crap. Right? Everything I look around, it's like, wow, this is gross and crap and ugly.
I understand.
And yeah, exactly. You understand, right? And so they're like, hang on, how did mankind ever build such beautiful buildings in Wisconsin?
1930s, and they're like hieroglyphs.
The fall of Tartaria was actually really
Yeah.
recent.
Even this, such ornate detail, every little part of everything, so much symbolism. And I'm just wondering,
pretty.
why did they
It's
dedicate this type of building to a small town in
To be fair,
Wisconsin?
we don't build anything like that anymore.
Doesn't
That's the
make
point.
sense.
Right.
Seems like a pre-existing structure. There used to be more buildings in this style of a Greco revival, but they tore them down. It was actually right down this road. Now it's an empty parking lot. There's a lot of nice buildings. It's because it's right by a river, and that was the form of travel that was most prevalent in these days. But it's just like so much symbolism, so much detail.
So the point being, this was created and left by the Tartarians in Wisconsin
Right.
as evidence that they had a beautiful civilization.
Not
And
the stonemasons.
Not the stonemasons, no, the
Right.
Tartarians. And I imagine that the Masons were the people who overthrew the Tartarians. I
Right.
don't know; it's not clear. But the point being, you can see that they're looking around, going, "Wow, our civilization now is crap. We don't build anything beautiful. Everything used to be amazing." And this is where they are.
It's really interesting though, because there are several angles. Because they seem to me to be unable to comprehend the idea of civilizational decline.
Yes.
It's like we couldn't be
Yes.
building something good in the past.
Yes.
Another civilization must have it. So
Yes.
it's Mu.
mean-
The cosmic forces of Mu. It's
No, it's very much
an
like that.
old version.
Let me show you this one. See this carved stone, built in 1890. Apparently, we can't carve stone anymore.
God.
That's in Chicago. They did not create this in 1890s with chisels. Why not? Why not?
different civilization.
It's
They
stone
weren't
carving.
part of
Different
it.
work ethic.
Yeah. But it's and then so in London,
Oh,
London's
right.
full of Tartarian buildings.
Oh, interesting.
You can tell because they're nice, right? The Tartarian buildings are nice. The modern buildings are terrible.
Right.
And so you can just see it, and they're everywhere. Harrods.
Harrods, yeah.
I mean, it's a lovely building.
It's
They always use Midnight Sonata.
red-pilled comedian posters.
Yeah, this is Tartarian Red Pill.
Right.
So get Red Pill.
Tate Modern.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Take them on airship docking station, quite possibly. Samson's howling in the side. I mean, it'd be a better use for the tape mod than what they use it for now. So,
Selfridges.
yeah.
Right. Interesting. Oh, you see the bells as well?
Yeah. There's healing frequencies.
Yeah, there's healing. Everyone gets healed when they go in to buy whatever it is.
Yeah, no, this is genuinely a kind of building. The Naturalist Museum's a beautiful building. Absolutely amazing. So I can see why they would think, yeah, this was built by a superior civilization, and we're living in the ruins of it because we couldn't build something like this now, and they might be right.
Was Beethoven also Tartarian?
Yes. That's why they use his music. Somerset House, lovely. Again, we don't build stuff like this anymore.
It's true.
Evidently the ruins of a better people than we are. Not even joking. Like this is it's not even that unrealistic thing to come to. It's just, is it Tartarians or was it Victorians? But you see the point there. It's like London, full of Tartarian ruins. Now this is where it gets slightly controversial because, of course, the Tartarians were, of course, black, right? Now you may not have known this since black people do not come from Asia, but AI slop is really doing a number on TikTokers because for some reason they can't tell, And this, the comments are, what happened to them? What happened to them? Well, that's the thing. So what happened to Tartaria is that the entire thing was destroyed by a mud flood, right? So this is the... Now, I thought it was the oil barons or whatever.
Right.
But no, it's, again, not entirely consistent. But...
This is the theory of the mud flood and the mysterious fall of Tartaria. The story goes that Tartaria was a vast and advanced empire, stretching across Eurasia. Its people were masters of architecture and technology, building cities that defied the imagination. But then, something happened. Something so devastating that it wiped Tartaria off the map. The mud flood theory suggests that a global catastrophic event occurred in the 18th or 19th century, covering entire cities in layers of mud. Buildings were submerged, streets disappeared, and an empire was buried beneath the earth. The evidence? Look around. Ever notice buildings with windows or doors at ground level or even below? Some say these are remnants of structures buried by the mud, hinting at a world that existed before the flood. But why haven't we heard of this before? Some believe the history of Tartaria was deliberately erased, hidden by those in power who wanted to rewrite history. Maps were redrawn, textbooks rewritten, and the true story of Tartaria was buried along with the mud. The mud flood theory challenges everything we think we know about the past. What if the history we've been taught is just the surface layer?
What if indeed? Right. So what
Atlantis of the steppes.
History is written by the victors, as they say, and the elites won that one.
When you see old buildings, are the doors not lower?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because of the height of people or anything like that. No, it's because of a mud flood that buried half of it. And so this just a very, very common thing. Like you get these sorts of videos again. We'll just watch his.
Good. That's real good.
Alright,
listen to this. So, the Tartarian Empire was an advanced civilization which once ruled in what we know today as Russia, but also span out to the Americas. But when the empire was destroyed, they was removed from history and wiped off the map.
And Wisconsin.
This is the official Tartarian flag. They are the ones that built buildings like this, and like this, and yes, buildings like this. And they were the ones that built the so-called Tesla Tower long before Nikola Tesla. They are known for building buildings with Antiquitech, which is a natural atmospheric energy conductor which produces
Tartary
free
technology.
energy. And a lot of people ask, why would they remove this from history? Well, if you knew that in the past we had free energy, electricity, and advanced technology, it would make you question everything we've been told about his story. Oh my.
Fascinating. I mean, I'm feeling so educated. So I went to the most trustworthy source, which is Wikipedia, and they deny Grand Tartaria.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they believe that this is a conspiracy theory by crazy people who don't know anything about history and
pseudo-scientific
and why we're here.
Nationalism.
Apparently it began in pseudo-scientific Russian nationalism, but it was picked up by TikTokers who really like the idea because they don't understand anything about the world or what is happening. But the thing is, there is something to all of this, right? Which is, yes, in a way, we are living in the remnants of a great civilization. We don't build huge, beautiful buildings. Like, there were various ones like, look at the Crystal Palace. Like, yeah, we know who built that. We know his name. We know how much it cost. You know, we know the difficulties involved, like the size of the sheets of glass, made it, and things like this. And it's like, yeah, that is amazing. And yes, you're right. Everything we build now is ugly and crap. And we don't build in stone anymore. So, 300 years later, that building's not going to be there. And you're looking around going, God, wouldn't it have been nice to have lived in this beautiful architectural civilization where things were made to make people feel enchanted and in love with their own towns and cities? And it's like, yes, that's a great point. It's not a conspiracy in the mud flood and the oil barons. It's actually worse. It's modernism. But this, you can see why these people would look at the world and go, hang on, things used to didn't be this way, right? They used to be better, actually, at least in these ways. And so these people living in the Whig theory of history, they're like, oh, technology it's only up. Everything progress is always progress. And you can see why they look around and go, okay, well, progress kind of sucks, actually.
It would be dangerous for them to figure out that it is, in fact, modernism, because it would shatter a lot of narratives.
Yeah. and all the liberal things they believe, there's a reason why the country sucks at the moment. But you can see why they came to this kind of conclusion. It's like, no, it is real that, okay, I go in that 200-year-old building, like, Natural History Museum or something, unbelievable building. Why don't we build things like that now? Well, there are lots of reasons, mostly because we're cheap. But yeah, in the comments, make Tartaria great again. I'm kind of with it, to be honest. Thoughts, Stelios?
No, you reminded me of a quote. I think it was from someone in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, a book by Victor Hugo, who said that the birth of the printing press killed architecture, because he said that when people wanted to make a statement, they builded a building. They made it in a building. But with the printing press, they started writing books, and this changed architecture entirely. Just a thought.
There was one video I didn't use, which was they've got a photo of the sort of round bit on a cathedral window, right? And they were like, look, this is a sound wave captured in architecture. That's genuinely how they thought of it, right? Like, I can't remember the name of the architect who literally said this in like the 17th century or something. But he was like, look, we're building music, something like that is the way he described it, because that's what they thought. And it is true that, like, they've modeled that on a sound wave or a drop in water or something like this, right? There is a sort of natural symmetry and beauty that they're trying to capture in their buildings. Totally true. So the guy who's like the crazy Tartarian conspiracy theorist has hit on an aspect of reality. It's just that why we're not like this is very complicated, and it's just too much for these people to understand.
There's always a grain of truth.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm kind of on board with the Tartarian stuff. I don't know about the healing bells or crystals. Or
That's the best thing about it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was the fun bit about it.
Yeah, I don't know about the Great Tartaria as a historical project, but I completely understand why they would feel this way and why they'd be looking for a conspiracy theory to explain it.
Wait, Carl, you mean you don't believe that Tartaria had harnessed infinite energy, and they couldn't save themselves from the mud?
Well, I mean,
true.
I don't know.
Okay.
I am waiting for archaeologists to discover that. But the point being, I can see why all of these people have got to this point where they're just like, yeah, no, look at the civilization we used to have. Because I mean, if you look at like there's
Rome,
was it New York train station or something, used to be incredible, and then they just demolished it in like the 1930s. So why would you do that? Why would you do that? It's like, oh, and so like 100 years later, they're like, this, was this a previous civilization? It's like, yeah, in a way it was a previous civilization, actually.
Yeah.
Next Canyon Meltdown is going to be about Tartaria.
I hope so, because that would be insane. But the point I'm making with this is that, honestly, none of this is new, right? This is all a repeating cycle in history. As English Heritage point out here, there was an Anglo-Saxon poet who used to marvel at the ruins of a Roman city, which they suspect was Bath. And just called it Enter Gwerok, which means the work of giants. And it's because it seemed incredible to them, of course, that it was mere men who made such incredible things. And this is what we've arrived at back with the Tartarians. The barbarians who have been raised in this civilization have no idea about the history. And so they're just looking around going, God, these people must have been just something above us, way, way better and way more different to us. And somehow they felt, it's like, yeah, no, we're genuinely living in that transitional period of history where we have arrived at a place where the people who live in the ruins on the ground floor of these things don't understand how they were made. They don't feel that they are personally connected to them. They don't see them as an extension of their own lineage and civilization. They're just sat around going, my God, we've lost something here. And that's true.
And we're living in a period where it's the most comfortable as well. But I think we're going into the uncomfortableness. I think we're
getting there.
We're really getting there. But yeah, totally right. Totally.
Yeah. But, anyway, OPHQ UK, make Tartaria great again. Oh my God, I'm going to have to move this. This is just pissing me off. I can't see anything. Bald Eagle says, the product of current day education system, ladies and gentlemen, there are people who want to put more money into the system that creates geniuses like this. It has to be a troll. No, it's an entire genre on TikTok. It's an entire genre of people. It's the sort of spirit science subscribers, you know what I mean? Where it's like, no, this has to be true. That's a random name. Says, as a Bulgarian, I disavow that cringe-ass Bulgaria Tartaria coat fantasy. Remember, these people's votes are equal to your own. Well, the thing is, the Bulgarians, by this thesis, are Tartarians. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So, embrace your heritage.
They were
Don't be
black?
silly. Sorry?
Didn't the guy say that they were black now?
The black nationalists claim everything was black.
True.
William
Shakespeare.
Yeah.
If you would like to watch the full uncut version that is also uncensored, head on over to lotuseaters.com to find out more.